All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's Halloween edition of the Arkansas Broadband Leaders Network, or ABLN. Really good show today, presentation show. We have a lot of updates on the BEAD program, and we'll talk through that. And also a really interesting presentation by our friends at Digitunity. And they're going to talk about an Arkansas-specific project, amongst other things. So really excited to have them present to us today. And so we'll get to them in a little bit, but we'll go ahead and get started. As always, updates, and then we'll have the presentation. And as always, we'll have discussion. Note on that, for anybody who's new to the call for the very first time, if you have any questions, please feel free to input those into the chat box as we go throughout the call today, and we'll get to those in the designated discussion part of the presentation at the end. Okay, as far as the Arkansas BEAD program, a couple of slides here on BEAD. The review process for Arkansas remains underway with NTIA, so that's ongoing, and hope to hear from them at some point in the not too distant future. But review process remains underway with NTIA and is ongoing. Here's the immediate timeline. Not much change here from the timeline that we would have showed you 3 weeks ago. On the last call. Really, our BEAD ISP provisional selectee informational meetings are underway. I know that's sort of long there. I have a slide on that in a second, and so we'll talk more about that. That's underway, and we'll look at more details. Again, the review of the BEAD program underway with U.S. Department of Commerce. They have publicly committed, again, just as a reminder, to have at least our plan reviewed by December 4th, and that's both through NTIA and NIST. So the clock's ticking. We'll see if they're able to do it, hopefully so, but we'll hear from them eventually. At that point in the process for the BEAD program, once U.S. Commerce works through their process, it will come back to Arkansas. Then we go to the Arkansas Legislative Council and get appropriation approval. At that point, we would be able to execute grant agreements with our ISPs. But caveat to that, all of our prospective subgrantees must meet all of their requirements to be eligible to sign a grant agreement. So we got to make sure that happens, and then we can execute those agreements with our providers. At that point, the ISPs will be responsible for completing some environmental and national historic preservation reviews that have to take place. And once that is officially done, project construction can begin, shovels can go in the ground. And so have the target dates on the right, really what everyone here is interested in. We would project hopefully shovels in the ground on the BEAD program projects by Q2 next year. So let me let Jeff in and on to the next slide. So BEAD ISP provisional selectee informational meetings. It's kind of long, I get that. You formerly known as the BEAD Roadshow. But if you go back and look at the restructuring policy notice that NTIA put out on June 6th, there's some general constraints around stakeholder engagement. And so as part of making sure that we comply fully with the restructuring policy notice put out by NTIA, it is no longer a BEAD Roadshow. It is a BEAD ISP provisional selectee informational meetings. And we actually kicked it off this week. So we were down in Monticello and El Dorado on Wednesday. There is a pod structure to this. So we are talking about 3 counties worth of information and data at each stop. That keeps our team from having to go to all 75 counties in such a limited amount of time. So we're going to make at least 25 stops, hopefully with 3 counties covered per stop. In Monticello, we talked about Drew and Chico and Ashley counties. In El Dorado, we touched on Union, Bradley, and Calhoun counties. And what's happening here, it allows our office to walk through our BEAD process, and also, and more importantly, allows our provisional selectee ISPs, those folks who have been provisionally selected for BEAD projects in particular counties, the opportunity to meet with local officials, discuss their initial project plans, and really facilitate a Q&A and discussion with local officials on the ground who really can help be responsible for helping to accelerate those projects, whether it's permitting or locate issues, et cetera, and allow for good, robust discussion in locations where awards have provisional selections have happened. And look, as a reminder to everyone, we have open meeting laws in Arkansas, and we can't restrict who's welcome at these meetings. So all interested parties are welcome to attend these meetings, and we'll continue to send out information about these. Here's a quick peek at our projected November schedule for these informational meetings. You can see a couple of days in November that we're going to hit the road, so November 12th, 21st, 24th, and 25th, and we're going to cover these cities. Dates are here, cities are here. That's where we're going to go. The times of the meetings are here, and then the counties that are covered by that meeting are listed as well. So for instance, what will happen November 12th, which is the next one up, we're going to have 3 stops that day: Magnolia, Hope, and Nashville. And so in Magnolia at 9 a.m., we'll cover information for Ouachita, Columbia, and Nevada counties, okay? And what will happen is that our provisional selectee ISPs who have been provisionally selected for BEAD projects in Ouachita, Columbia, and Nevada counties will be invited to the meeting in Magnolia to talk about high-level their plans and have interaction and do Q&A with local officials and so forth. So this is the plan. We're going to have December scheduled out here shortly, and we'll provide that to you as well. So we're coming to your town. We'll be on the road. Look for the invitations, again, to allow our providers to talk about their projects on the ground with officials in those localities. And we're excited. Quick refresher on the BEAD program this morning. I wanted to, and we're going to do this every so often with our ABLN calls, want to remind everyone that the Arkansas BEAD program and the grants that flow out of this program are and will be classified as fixed amount subawards. Okay, so what does that mean, really? It means that in Arkansas's BEAD program, the way that we fund and pay out is different. It is not going to be a reimbursement model based on expenses, okay? It is a disbursement model based on successfully completing milestone achievements, okay? So while ISPs will be required to maintain records of all of their invoices and proof of payments for those invoices for allowable expenses of the project, and that's subject always to sampling and audit by our team and the federal government, and they do. They have to report to us indicating allowable spending and matching contributions that are a part of the program. The funding from our office is going to be dispersed as the providers successfully complete defined milestones. So in short, our grantees will only be paid when they successfully complete actions, and that's critically important. For example, when they demonstrate Build America, Buy America, or BABA compliance, when they request proper permitting for their projects, when they actually are connecting homes and businesses, that's how we're going to pay out to our ISPs. It's different from how Arkansas has done it in the past. Our program has evolved and matured and gotten older since 2020. You know, at one time, the state paid out all of their funding up front, and then projects were built out. Currently, we work on a reimbursement model where providers submit their invoices and receipts and proof of payment to us, and we reimburse them for their expenses. The new way, moving forward in BEAD, is going to be based on milestone achievements, and we think that's an important improvement of the process for us. It's more responsive to taxpayers and programs and protecting investment, as we say here. This program is designed to protect taxpayer dollars. And we're really excited about the way the BEAD program will disperse funding to our eventual grantees. All right, government shutdown impact. There is no impact to our office or programs at this time. If anything changes, we'll let you know. All the programs that we currently operate from the American Rescue Plan Act, which is both state and local fiscal recovery funds and capital projects fund, and also the BEAD program through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 21, are all act appropriations through those bills. And so it's not impacted by annual budgeting. So short story, no impact to our office or programs at this time, but if anything does change, of course, we will let you know. I feel like we got through that too quickly. But with that, we're going to move to our presentation today from Digitunity with Carissa and Rebecca. Really good information. Looking forward to the presentation. And again, we'll go through discussion and Q&A after they're done. Good morning, ladies.
Thank you so much, Glenn and Cam and the whole team, and thank you for welcoming us here today. I'm joined by my colleague, Rebecca Kelly. Um, I'm located here in Rhode Island, and Rebecca is your neighbor in Louisiana, and we're really, really thrilled to be spending a Halloween day with you here. Rebecca's going to pull up a presentation of slides that we're going to go through with you, and they'll be about we will share those slides with the team to share out with you after. So there are some links in there that will be helpful after. Rebecca, are you having? Yeah, great. Perfect. We're ready to get started. So yes, thank you for having us. And we'll do some question and answers at the end of the presentation. So getting started, today's workshop, we're going to why are we here is a good starting point. And I can't see all of your names, but I do know that I think I see some initials there that we know. We're doing some work in Arkansas, and we want to share that with you. But we really love shining the light on computer ownership. Doing any work in this space, I'm sure that the need for computers comes up quite regularly, and we're working to help that along. And so that's the purpose for sharing with you today. We're going to go through some data snapshot, both nationally and locally. Look at your digital skills and opportunity plan, see what's in there about devices. We'll give some examples and sharing of what some of the activities within moving computer ownership forward look like. And then we'll have Rebecca will share about our current project in Arkansas, opportunities to be engaged with that, and then kind of flip-flop there. We'll talk about our recent publications and then some questions and answers. So to get started, we're going to look at Digitunity. And Digitunity, hard to believe, but we're 40 years in, very small, doing this work. We're a small national nonprofit. But our absolute goal when we walk in the door every day and go to sleep at night is making sure more people can own a computer. And so we look at the systems that make that possible. We do not ourselves put our hands on computers, but we help coordinate, do research, data, and just shine a light on the need for computer ownership. And sometimes that even includes policy as well. So we look at systems change, which is, somewhat a broad. What does that mean? For in our work, giving out computers is a real win, right? You get a small grant, perhaps. You have the money to give out the computers. It's terrific. But then 3 or 4 years later come, and where are the funds to refresh those computers? And do we know that those computers were used as productively and meaningfully as they could be? I'm speaking to tech support, help desk, and digital skills and internet access for the person who received the computer. So we look at all of those pieces and how they can work together to increase computer ownership. And like I said, right now we're involved in both very local projects and then national projects. We've helped with many of the state's digital plans in putting in computer ownership and kind of building that out. And some of you, perhaps on this call, in fact, may be part of our practitioner network. And on our website, you can sign up to be a member of our network, and that will make you eligible to receive computers and technology. However, with a very large caveat there, is that the supply of donated computers is very difficult to get hold of, and that's one of the areas that we work with companies in changing their practices so that they donate more computers. So being part of our network, over time, we're continuing to put the gas on the pedal down to get more companies donating their computers, then that can get out to you. So that is something that we invite you to perhaps sign up for. There's no charge for doing that. So let's look at some terminology around computer ownership. We talk often about the term for large screen. Um, we know that mobile phones are wonderful. They connect many people to the internet, but often are not sufficient for doing a resume or completing a paper. We just I just met a girl in the last year who was finishing her GED using just her phone, and luckily she was able to receive a computer, and it made a tremendous difference from her for her. So if you're used to using a computer every day, it is quite, helpful to use, and to think that you had to do the tasks you did that day on a phone is difficult. So we do push towards ownership. We believe it increases skills much easier to be able to use a computer where and when you want to do so. Loaning programs are great. We, of course, support that, encourage that. Rebecca and I both come from the library world, so we would be amiss to not support that. But we also like to see the bridge into how someone and states and systems can make ownership a possibility for folks. We use the term non-deviced and under-deviced, and I think these are important to, kind of drill down into. Non-device, of course, is someone that doesn't have any type of computer or phone. And Rebecca's going to share in a little bit some interesting ways to interpret census data that needs some attention. So she'll be digging a little more into the non-device. But the under-device is a really big reality. We know perhaps a child gets a computer at school. It's provided from school, and that computer comes home. And if it's the only one in the house, it may be heavily used as much as it can be by others in the household, because we're in the time where one computer in a house may not be sufficient. So we call that under-deviced. New and refurbished computers, whatever it is, we want to make sure that they are affordable, and most importantly, that they are high quality and meet the needs of the person who's going to use it. Especially for someone who has lower digital literacy skills, getting a computer with challenges to it just compounds the whole situation. So we do mainly look at reuse and refurbished computers, donated computers, but we really push to be aware that you're getting a quality device. Again, I mentioned about the need, and this is challenging to have someone in front of you that you're helping, and to kind of tease out what they need the computer to do, how they're going to use it, if they have any perhaps assistive technology needs, maybe their eyesight is not up to par, and that a computer has lots of things built into it that can help them, but becoming aware of all of those things and then matching it to a computer that's set up to meet those needs takes some time, and but well spent, well spent. When we often talk about computer ownership ecosystem. I have the term ecosystem up there. Ecosystem is really talking about, I like to say, all hands on deck. Healthcare. I can't think of almost a sector that doesn't have some interaction or can benefit from having computer ownership as part of it. And we would like all of those players, all of those sectors, to be involved in computer ownership efforts in a community. And so that's kind of the idea around the ecosystem. And if we dig more into the ecosystem, our view, the way we kind of divide it just to be able to talk about it, is supply, preparation, and deployment of computers. So where are the donated computers coming from, or where are the new computers that can be affordable coming from? How are they being prepared, often by a refurbisher? And how are they deployed? Deployed mean that step from getting the computers in your hands to getting it out to a person that has all of the supports and knowledge to meaningfully be able to use it. And of course, we're always looking at adoption. All of this hard work that your state is doing around internet beadwork, we want to make sure that folks have computers so they can take advantage of all those benefits. So, let's see what's next on our agenda here is. I don't have all my slides right in front of me. Yeah, I have one more slide I want to share with you is about computer ownership. Just we have a recent peer-reviewed research from a partner of ours at University of California, Santa Barbara, who finds that computer ownership is, this was a very surprising finding, let me tell you. We kind of know it, but to find it in the census data and the data that computer ownership is more important for meaningful use of the internet or internet benefits than in-home internet service itself. So I think that's really pointing to that you can use a computer in many places to get internet service, but without the computer, you're kind of at a complete loss there. So we just are here to continue to find partners, find energy, have the same kind of language we're talking about prioritization of computer ownership. Next, we have, when you have a computer, we made this visual. It's a little fun and a little busy. We understand that. Hopefully, you'll look at that later when we send out the slides. But when we sat down and started thinking of all the things and the considerations when you're helping someone get a computer or you yourself are getting a computer, on the outside are some folks who all the different ways that a computer can benefit folks. Even we talk about using a computer for creativity, for remote learning, many of the things we know about telehealth, but also social connection and entertainment are uses and can be meaningful uses of a computer. Then we talk about on the outer ring here about all of the considerations when you're adopting a computer, use of a computer, and things to take into that actually become quite reality when those computers show up on your desk and you're going to give them out to your community. These questions will absolutely come up. Viruses, how do I get troubleshooting? On the inside there are some of the actual hardware, I guess we could say, or peripherals that can help in the meaningful use of the computer. So it's kind of a fun graphic we have there for you, and I hope it's helpful for you in your efforts. So next I'm going to pass it to Rebecca, who will talk a little bit about our data.
Thank you, Carissa. So good to be here with you guys today. So I want to start by sharing some important data about computer ownership in America first, and then I'm going to share a little bit of information about what we're seeing in Arkansas. So this data comes from the U.S. Census Bureau's most recent American Community Survey, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's a comprehensive annual survey of American households. So the census has asked a question focused on the type of computing device that households have since 2013. So they ask a question where they give options for people taking the survey, whether they have a desktop or laptop computer, whether they have a tablet, a smartphone, or any other type of computer in their household. And so we combine the two numbers that we combine to get the total number of households that lack a computer. We combine those households that have no device at all. So that is no desktop or laptop or tablet. And then we also are looking at households that are smartphone dependent. So the 2024 survey found that 1 in 7 households, and that's over 18 million families in the United States, lack a computer in the home. So that's almost 14% of households in this country. So we know that smartphones don't provide the same functionality as a large screen computer. Carissa talked a little bit about that. This really makes it more challenging for those families, those 14% of households, to apply for jobs and manage their health or help their kids with homework or even access government resources. So the census data also shows us that while we've had some success in decreasing the number of households that have no device at all. These are people with not even a smartphone in the house. They have nothing. That number has been decreasing over the last several years. But at the same time, we're seeing the percentage of families who are smartphone dependent continuing to increase. In fact, since 2016, the number of households that are dependent on smartphones for their internet connectivity has increased by 54%. So we're really seeing that this is the new challenge that we face, is to address this smartphone dependent family in addition to those families that don't have any computing devices. So who's more likely to be affected by this computer ownership gap in the United States? So Digitunity recently published research that analyzes this census data. We dug into the data a little deeper. This information is not in a published table by the Census Bureau. So we had some intense research that we did, and we had some clear patterns that emerged. Some of this might not be surprising, but we're very excited to have some data behind this now. So we know that 1 in 5 older adults lack a computer at home. In fact, these individuals over age 65 are among the most likely to lack any type of computing device, with rates that are well above other age groups. We also found that 1 in 3 adults without a high school diploma don't have a computer. And that makes it harder for them to access online educational opportunities or job training opportunities. Additionally, our research on this population found that people without a high school diploma are 2 times more likely to rely solely on their smartphones compared to high school graduates. Our research also uncovered that unemployed adults are 4 times more likely to lack computers than those who are employed. And this really does create a real barrier to finding work, since most modern day job searching or job applications happen online now. And that can be really difficult to navigate on a smartphone. And in some cases, it's impossible due to the technology of those applications to do that on a smartphone. And then finally, we also noticed some geographic patterns. The 5 states with the highest rates of households without a computer are Mississippi, West Virginia, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Alabama. So this is very much a regional challenge that we're all facing together. And so now I want to look at what does this data show us about computer ownership in Arkansas? So we know that there are 270,000 plus families in Arkansas, that's 1 in 5 households, that do not have a computer in the home. Or if we look at percentages, that's 22% of Arkansas households without a computing device or that are dependent on a smartphone to access the internet. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, Arkansas ranks 4th highest in the nation for households without a computer, which is higher than the national average of the 13.75% that I mentioned earlier for the national average. But this data does actually show us that there's such opportunity here in Arkansas to make a difference, to move that needle. We know that computer ownership is a pathway to better jobs, a pathway to educational opportunities, to healthcare access, and also to stay connected with families. So I wanted to point out that the good news is that Arkansas has recognized this challenge. Glenn and his team here at the Broadband office, they've conducted extensive research for the state's Digital Skills and Opportunity Plan. And what they found validates what we're seeing nationally. So 1 in 4 Arkansas residents told the state they simply cannot afford to buy a computer. So that shows that there is an affordability barrier. Carissa talked about the affordability component for computer ownership. Nearly everyone surveyed said that anything over $750 is too expensive. And almost 30% said that $250 or more would be too expensive. So we already know that computers are essential in today's world. So these families that are saying that the affordability barrier is a real challenge for them, are having to make tough choices between getting technology to help their family or choosing other basic needs. Additionally, the Arkansas's plan also points out a shortage of programs in the state that are focused on computer ownership and affordability. You do have libraries and schools that are providing access, and these are usually found in the form of computer labs or lending programs, which are great, and they are filling a gap, and they do serve as pathways to ownership. But what's missing is the sustainable systems that help these families actually own and maintain these essential technology tools long term, not just as a one-time only distribution. So the state did develop a strategy to address these challenges, including device refurbishment and distribution programs. This strategy outlined in the plan include partnerships with businesses for computer donations, refurbishment programs, and distribution events across the state. And this is exactly the kind of ecosystem approach that Carissa was talking about that creates lasting impact. So now I think we were going to take an opportunity to share some examples of what other states are doing to address their computer ownership gaps, what we're seeing across the country. I'm going to turn it over to Carissa for that.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, we're going to share generally about some trends that we're seeing, and so we'll look at a list here. What we're seeing in other states, on the next slide, we can go through. They're building on their existing resources, and I will tell you firsthand that we've had multiple examples where even in the plan that the state did recently for as part of the federal funding, um, that was just a start. And once you start peeling back, we have found refurbishers, we have found programs that are distributing devices. We have found so many things, quite surprisingly, to the state. So that work needs to continue. And capacity building investment in what you already have. Perhaps there's a seed of something happening, but you could expand upon that. We really encourage, and we've been seeing that starting to happen. Interestingly, we have been seeing some work around centralizing information for residents on where to find computer, internet, and skills information. North Carolina has a tech finder. California has one as well. Some states created apps. Some of the challenge for creating these tools is in the upkeep of those of the information there, but it's definitely moving in the right direction, because I think one of the biggest challenges that comes up over and over again is that you may have some of these resources and services, but the residents just don't know about it. So that's in the right direction. We've seen incredible collaborative efforts across state governments. We've seen departments that never really interacted with the broadband or IT offices previously stepping up. This might be a disaster recovery emergency management department. It might be transportation. But we're definitely seeing that as a growing trend across the country. On diversifying funding, we've been seeing states dipping and trying in the philanthropic direction, with some success and some more limited success. But there's also an effort to identify different pots of money where that can support computer ownership. So it might be something in the workforce development area that may allow for the purchase of devices or computers that hadn't previously been considered, particularly in healthcare as well, that it's being more recognized as a need. Hub and spoke model, I don't want to kind of pigeonhole us into just hub and spoke, but the idea behind here is that states are beginning to think about how can we get on a statewide scale? How can we get computers in? How can we move them around the state to be refurbished? And how can we move them around the state to get out to people who need them? So different structure design is definitely underway, and it's showing up in a myriad. The book is still being written on that one. I mentioned earlier about policy changes, really taking a look within government to see where some small tweaks or incentives might be possible to encourage either donation or investment in funding for computer ownership. So that's happening. And then we have seen groups like this one, perhaps, kind of having a subgroup that is focused just on computer ownership. We've been seeing that happen as well. So, all right, bear with me now on the next one. This is not done this before, but we're going to try this. If you can all look at the top of your a screen within Microsoft Teams, there is a React icon. It's a smiley face. And if you just click on that, you'll see a number of probably 5 different emojis. You'll see a thumbs up, which for us today in the items I'm going to display shortly, a thumbs up would be, I'd like to learn more about that topic. A heart is going to say, this is something we need in our area. And then an applause is, I've done something like that before. So you can only choose one at a time. And good, people are practicing that. That warms my heart that this is going to work. It's only temporary that they come up, but you will get a sense of the group as to how we all have shared on these activities. So yes, the first one is, have you taught someone how to use a computer? Oh yeah, lots of I see thumbs up. I'd like to learn more. Terrific, and applause. You deserve that applause if you taught someone how to use a computer for sure. Fantastic, great, thank you. The next one is, have you helped provide access to computers through a lab or lending program? Okay, a little more hearts than we saw previously, but definitely some knowledge in this group, which is excellent that you've done this before. So right here, we can see within the group, there's people who know how to set up a lending lab or lending program. That's fantastic. The next item is, have you helped someone enroll in an affordable internet program? Probably ACP previously. Yes. Yep. Look at the knowledge there. And yes, also also interest in knowing that this is a gap and that or you'd like to learn more, which I'm thinking kind of are the same. That what are those programs and how can we help people with them? The next one, let's see here. Have you hosted a computer distribution event? Hmm. Yeah, more hearts. Yeah, that's not surprising. Um, Reach out to Digitunity before you do. We're happy to help with that. What happens? Many of us veterans will tell you on your first event, it's much more to it than you may have imagined, and we have checklists and support that we can provide to you on doing so. It's not to discourage you doing it, but just to feel ready in doing that. Yeah, great. All right, just a few more. The next one is, have you evaluated the needs of a client and recommended a computer that matches their needs? Hmm. Ah, someone who has done that. You are a couple of people who have done that. Very lucky to have that knowledge and actually lean on that knowledge. That is not lots to learn from someone who has done that and share with us. The next one is, let's see, couple more. Connected someone to a digital skills training class. That could be in any form. Great. Yeah, lots of people have done that. Good for you. Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. And I think this is our last one here. Provided troubleshooting support. That could be to a family member, neighbor, or in your work. Ah, yeah. Wow. I'm not surprised. You're a technology interested group, and probably the people in your circle and your community look to you as the technology person. Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed that activity. That really does. It gave us a great sense of kind of, and I hope for you, within this group, the knowledge base that you have. All right, Rebecca, I'm going to pass it back to you to share about our work in Arkansas.
Yeah, thank you. Make sure I'm unmuted. Sometimes I'm not sure, did I unmute myself or not? So I am excited to share details about a new initiative that we're doing across the country, but also specifically in Arkansas. And I do think it directly aligns with Arkansas's digital opportunity priorities. So in September, Digitunity launched a one-year initiative that is funded by AT&T to reach thousands of families by equipping local organizations with essential resources. So this is computers, digital skills training, and information about affordable internet access. What makes this initiative really exciting and I think relevant for your state is its focus on sustainable community-based solutions that the broadband infrastructure work you're advancing across the state. So the program has two main components. The first is what's on the slide here, our Computer Ownership Ecosystem Initiative, where we aim to bolster local systems in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. We're working in this tri-state area so that affordable computers are available to residents today and into the future. So our goal is not just in simply placing devices, but in building these lasting systems that Carissa was talking about. And we are focusing on Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, because you saw in that list of the 5 states with the highest percentages of families without a computer. These 3 states show up in that list. And so this project, we will be directing 2,500 donated computers to, these are going to be refurbished computers that are donated and refurbished at a nonprofit refurbisher. We're going to get them to our trusted community organizations who will then deploy them to families across these 3 states without computers. Now, I need to acknowledge we know 2,500 devices is not going to meet the full need. We talked about the need being so great, but we do believe this initiative can serve as a pilot to test out and refine the structure of what a computer ownership ecosystem could look like so that it can be scaled and replicated as we find additional funding and as additional partnerships become available. And then the second part of this program is our Connected Learning Digital Skills Award program. So we pair the computer ownership piece with the digital skills training. So these are workshops in which local nonprofit organizations can receive a stipend to cover or offset the cost of offering these digital skills programming opportunities. So we're reaching over 10,000 participants with workshop materials that were created by the Public Library Association and AT&T. And these topics, there's a variety of topics, but they include computer basics, email basics, cybersecurity, lots of other topics. And these materials were designed for learners who had little to no experience using a computer. So these are people that need those foundational digital skills in order to really effectively use a computer and actually, also adopt the internet. And so helping people with digital skills is definitely opens the door to computer ownership and internet adoption. The program is particularly useful for direct service nonprofits and other related organizations that would like to start offering digital skills programming, but they're maybe not sure how to start. This program is currently open to nonprofits based in Arkansas. So if you would like more information, you can visit our program's website. I'll drop that in the chat in just a second. or you can email connectedlearning@digitunity.org for more information. Um, and then finally, I just wanted to give, we just started this program, but I wanted to give just a little spotlight on one of our partners that we're working with in Arkansas, the University of Arkansas Monticello College of Technology in McGee. So UAM's College of Technology is particularly strategic for us because they serve rural communities in the southeastern part of the state. Some of their programs, such as business technology and health information technology, include distance learning classes, which we're hearing is a real challenge for students in rural communities, maybe where they have trouble accessing reliable internet, but they also don't have computers. And so it makes trying to take those distance learning classes a little more challenging for them. The College of Technology also is where the adult education programming is in that part of the state. They serve 8 counties. So during this initiative, we're going to partner with UAM's College of Technology to distribute over 250 computers to their students. Vice Chancellor Stephen Jossel and his team are integrating digital skills workshops as a prerequisite to those students to check out a laptop. So they're going to check out the laptop, and it's going to serve as an incentive to participate in this program. The students will be able to use those computers while they're taking those classes, bring them home, connect to those classes remotely. They are going to take those digital skills workshops before they get to check out that laptop. And when they complete their program, the ownership of those computers transfers to those students. So they will now have a computer, they will have digital skills, and they will have that certificate or credential showing that they have skills to be able to apply for jobs and be able to help improve their family's opportunities. So this partnership really demonstrates exactly what we mean by ecosystem building. We're not just dropping off computers, we're integrating the digital skills training. We're trying to work through established educational pathways and really addressing the reality that these communities face, where reliable broadband connectivity, digital skills, computers remain a significant challenge. So Carissa and I are eager to hear your questions, learn more about your connections here with digital opportunity initiatives like computer ownership programs. We're happy to answer questions, and I'll drop some links into the chat. Oh, here are some links to our publications that we were talking about. I'll drop the link to the Connected Learning Program in the chat so you can find out more about that if you're interested.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us for this, and we're open to your questions and ideas and feedback.
All right. Thanks, Krista. Thank you, Rebecca. First thing we're going to do is roll through the chat just to see if there's anything there. Let's see. I know there were a lot of links to information, so we'll check that out, but I'm just going to scroll through real quick to see if there's anything there. Let's see. All of the AI note takers. Love to see that. Let's see.
There are hands raised, but I don't know if that was from our activity. So
likely. We'll check. See this first, and then we'll go to that. Yeah, so Rebecca and Krista put a bunch of links to different things that they discussed during the presentation, so that's there. And we'll also make sure that we have that in the follow-up communication in case anyone's new. On the call for the first time, we always send a follow-up email with notes and copies of PowerPoints following the call. So we'll get that to everyone, as well as the links that have been presented in the chat box. Let's see. A lot of folks on a basic otter plan with 30-minute meetings. Let's see. And then again, some emails and links. So want to check, we do have a couple of hands up, as Krista pointed out. First, Van, anything for you this morning, or was it just reaction to that particular slide earlier? I mean, may not even realize I'm talking to him, which is fine. Which is fine. Jacob, anything that you wanted to touch on this morning? Although I think you may have just been reacting as well. And that's okay too. All right. We'll sit tight for just another minute or two, just in case anything comes across.
Hey guys, I got a question. How long will you guys be enrolling partners into your Arkansas your tri-state program in the Mid-South?
For digital literacy, sooner is better. Funds are limited, first come, first serve, if I can say so. But the that project with the digital skills will run through the end of next summer. But I will also say that our commitment, we had done a project last year in Mississippi, or almost a year and a half or more ago, and we've expanded and continue to engage with them. So our commitment on the ecosystem work and computer ownership, we are out nationally looking for funding and resources that we can, but we do have a commitment to your state and all three states for a long term as much as we can. But if you do want to enroll in the digital skills program, I would say sooner is better. Yes. Jeff asked how many of the 2,500 computers will be allocated for Arkansas. We kind of tried to do the fair thing here and divide it by three for each of the three states. So that's our goal. But we always hope to exceed goals, and we typically do. So we're doing our best. And quite honestly, the system with understanding where donations are coming from, directing them into the three states, and then working with whoever can do the refurbishing in those states. What we're really doing is some call it like a flywheel, or creating the momentum. So once we have those foundational elements, and we already have some of them in place, it starts creating its own outcomes and its own benefits. So that's what we're aiming to do. But thanks for the question, Jeff.
Yeah, and Carissa, follow up on that. Be sure to tell Sally and Vinny that they get 833 and we get 834 in Arkansas. We get one more to round out the 2,500.
Well,
Carissa, Glenn, I'm dropping our emails in the chat in case anyone would like to reach out to us.
Excellent.
If I can spell it correctly.
Yeah, please do that. And again, while Rebecca does that and she put it, I want to thank everybody for being with us today. Great presentation. Some good work going on in the state. We always want to highlight that. And then looks like Jeff is interested in working with you guys. So we'll make sure that y'all are connected and get some movement there. Thanks, Jeff, for wanting to show some interest this morning in partnering with the team. Krista, did you want to say something on that?
Oh, just reach out. I'm glad you put your hand up and reach out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Jeff. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll get you out 5 minutes early today. Email to follow with all the notes and PowerPoints, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
Thank you.